What's going on, guys, and welcome to today's video. And today we are back in the garage here with our new 2001 4.7 Laredo, whatever year this thing is. They're all kind of turning into a blur here, but I am hopefully going to be getting the engine put back together today. I've got the heads back from the machine shop. I'm not going to show a time lapse or whatever. We've already done that on the channel, but I thought I would at least show you guys the parts that I've got sitting here, and then I'll kind of bring you guys, back along once I get the heads on or whatever. Just kind of a few little spots in it, and then hopefully hit the key for the first time. So guys, like I said, I've got my heads back from the machine shop, and I wish I was a better YouTuber and actually had a picture here, but it was, I believe, our back head, our right head. There was actually a little kind of, it looked like a crack, but it was a little line between the cylinder and the cooling or water jacket. That was the whole issue here. Again, I don't have a picture, but it was just a weird little black line that you could catch with your fingernail. Now, I was kind of worried it was a cracked cylinder head, which isn't really common, at least to me. But when I took him into the machine shop, I showed him and he said, oh yeah, that's just where a head gasket went bad. They'll often have those little marks there. He felt it with his fingernail and said, oh yeah, we won't even need to take, too much material off to get that back, smooth or true again. So I don't really think this motor ever was a overheat. It just happened to have a head gasket issue, and that's why we were pushing compression into the cooling system, and yeah, you guys know from there. So like I said, got the heads back. Last night, I tore into the cylinder heads, pulled all the valve keepers, the springs, retainers, all of that, and put new valve stem seals in this thing. Just threw some Fel-Pro valve stem seals. And I also cleaned any carbon off the valves. Some of the intake valves on the top of the valves were, carboned up, a little bit nasty. So I scraped all those down and just have a nice clean valve, clean combustion chamber, and a nice true surface for our new gaskets. Now, one thing that I have been doing on the last couple of these 4.7 heads is staking the valves. If you guys can see, there are little dimples now in a few places around the valve seats. Now, this is kind of a small engine trick or a old hot rod trick kind of thing. This is a aluminum cylinder head with steel valve seats pressed into the head. If they've ever been overheated, they are more likely for those steel valve seats to fall out of the head. The valve hits them, a lot of bad things happen. You can kill engines with a dropped valve seat, depending on if the piston hits it. It just is not a good thing. So the fact that the previous owner said it had been overheated, it's just peace of mind here to stake those valve seats. Again, that is just using a metal punch with a little point, kind of a broad point. And again, just staking a few places around. That kind of just mushes the aluminum and puts a little more pressure on that valve seat. Again, none of these have ever fallen on this head, but I'd rather just be safe than sorry. Yes, it might be a Band-Aid. Some people might say that that's not a proper repair, but I'd rather do it just for peace of mind. Let me know if you guys want to see this done in a future video. I am hopefully going to tear apart my personal cheap Jeep after this one is done so I can put all of my cool parts in it. If you guys want to see, the valve spring compressor, pulling the valves, doing valve stem seals, and staking valve seats, I guess let me know down in the comments. I can definitely show you guys, but I just don't want it to be too redundant. So I am going to start cleaning up my block surface. Because we are down to a short block here, I need to clean my head surface up. I need to clean the front timing cover area for our new gasket. Get all of this cleaned up, get the head bolt holes, get any fluid that might be in there sucked out so we can properly torque our head bolts and get this thing ready to get thrown back together. But again, this thing is a 140,000 mile engine, and if you guys can see, we still have really, really nice cross hatching. We don't have any scoring. This thing just looks very nice and healthy. We just had a weird head gasket failure, a mark in the head there, and we were pushing compression. So I'm gonna keep cleaning this thing up, get it thrown more back together, maybe heads on, show you guys, you know, with the timing on it, we'll get the cover on it, and hopefully be able to hit the key on this thing. All right, guys, so I've been working out here for many hours now, and I have got quite a bit accomplished here, so I thought I would show you just kind of almost near the end before we are finally at the end and ready to hit the key. So as you guys can see, we've got timing cover back on, harmonic balancer, we've got heads, valve covers, we are ready to go. Intake manifold, and I need to change fluids, I need to put coolant in it, oil, filter, that kind of stuff. Finish up all of the top end stuff. We've got AC compressor, alternator, fuel rail, battery tray, battery obviously. So I'm gonna keep plugging away, and then I will grab you guys and we will hopefully hit the key for the first time, pending nothing goes poorly and I haven't forgotten any tools at work. All right, guys, I've been working out here for multiple hours and I think I'm ready to hit the key, so I'll quickly show you under the hood. We'll hit the key together and hopefully it fires right up and is completely happy. So as you can see, it is now totally back together. We've got heads on, torqued, intake, everything. It is now a motor again. I went ahead and changed the engine oil and filter. We've got it full of coolant. Yeah, it should start. I was able to get the exhaust hook back up, which is a major pain on these, just with the suspension all in place. It's just really tight to get to, but I think we're ready. I'm putting off the inevitable. Let's go in and hit the key on this thing and it should fire up. All right, guys, let's see what happens. There is key on. We've got our 142,000 miles. And yeah, let's just do it. And it fired up very happily. Running smoothly. The only thing that I'm currently hearing is power steering noise because I did lose some power steering fluid. I had to pull the hydraulic fan, so I'm gonna need to probably throw some fluid in this thing before we make a lap, just so we aren't running the pump low for no reason. But yeah, it seems to be happy, very uneventful. Let's go look under the hood real quick. Again, we've got power steering, kind of whining due to the fact it is going to be a little bit low, but other than that, we've got a relatively smooth running 4.7. We maybe have an idler pulley or something making a little bit of noise, but again, it's at least running on all cylinders. All right, so we've got some power steering fluid in this thing, and the idler pulley noise that I thought I had was the cooling fan wiring that I had tucked into the fan when I pulled the fan, and I reminded myself when I did that I'm going to definitely forget to do that and the fan's gonna rub on it. So that's what exactly I did. I left the wiring in there, but we luckily did not rub any wiring. It just was making noise. So got the fan wiring routed correctly. Power steering fluid, we've got a tag on it now. Definitely not the tag off of the burgundy cheap Jeep. And let's go make a lap around the block and see, does this thing drive? Does the transmission work? Is the rear end noisy? What is the deal with this thing? All right, let's shut the hood. Let's go drive. The transmission does work, or at least reverse works, which is an amazing feat compared to that silver Jeep that we had put back together that had no forward, no reverse, blown up transmission after we got the engine fixed. So this one's already winning. Now guys, we are hopefully just burning a whole bunch of coolant that is in all of the exhaust, all the catalytic converters out of this thing. It was, like we saw, dumping coolant into one of the cylinders. So I'm hoping that is all residual in the cats and exhaust. Once we actually go out and drive this thing, get it hot, that should hopefully all go away. So we're just gonna do kind of a quick little, lap around the block here. we're not gonna venture too far away in this thing until we have gone over it a little bit more, but so far we are driving. There's first gear, there's second gear, third gear. Yeah, so we are shifting. We have a good transmission. Now, we are only doing 20 miles an hour, but I hear a very familiar noise, a very familiar older Jeep noise. Yeah, it sounds like the rear axle bearings are gone on this thing. I hear a bunch of grinding back there. Not grinding, just bearing noise. We probably got pinion bearings or an axle shaft bearing or a carrier bearing that's not happy. So yeah, I'll of course be tearing into that in the future, but it's at least drivable, and that is a massive feat. Well guys, there we go. We've got a successful lap around the block here, and I'll show you the exhaust real quick in the heavy winds. But yeah, we already have like all of that coolant burnt out of the exhaust. It seems to be idling smoothly. So yeah, I think we brought another one back from the dead, hopefully saved it from the salvage yard. So yeah, now that the engine is sorted out, I've got a box with my lift sitting in the garage. So I'm gonna do my normal 2-inch spacer lift like I do on all these things, just because it makes them look a little bit cooler than every other one sitting out there that is super low to the ground. So I'm gonna get my lift on it and start going through this thing with a fine-tooth comb, fixing, sorting out all the little piddly stuff like I normally do, and yeah, hopefully get another one back on the road. So guys, thanks for watching along, or bits and pieces of putting this engine back together and starting it up with me for the first time, and not having a transmission issue like the previous one that feels extremely good. So guys, thank you for watching as always, and I'll catch you guys next time.